the beginnings of the Gospels. When you get into what we call the New Testament, a lot of time has gone by since the end of the Old Testament. We're introduced to the person and work of Jesus of Nazareth by 4 different authors who tell the story of Jesus from 4 different perspectives. Same story, different perspectives. If you want to think about the beginnings of the Gospels, most clearly it's helpful to think about the end of the Old Testament. And on this, we could talk about the ends of the Old Testament because the Hebrew Bible ends in a different place than our English Bibles do. They have the same books, but a bit different of an order. If you end the Hebrew Bible, you end with the book of Chronicles, which is a book that focuses on genealogies, lists, family records. It focuses on dominion, on kingship, and on dynasty, on seed, genealogies. And it's interesting when you open the New Testament, the very first gospel that we come into is the Gospel of Matthew, which begins with a genealogy that links right back into the story of Chronicles, driving us to Jesus, the son of Joseph, who is a son of David. But if you look at the other ending, which will be the ending in our English Bibles of the Old Testament, the end of the book of Malachi, it ends by telling you to look for the coming of Elijah. That basically Elijah will come back, or someone will come in the spirit and power of Elijah, and he will prepare the way for the Lord and get the people ready. And when you open the Gospel of Luke, what do you find? The Gospel of Luke opens by connecting the story of Jesus directly to the coming of Elijah in the person of John the Baptist, who comes to get people ready for Jesus. If you open up the Gospel of Mark, you just get right to the story. Everything in Mark happens immediately, and same thing with the beginning of the Gospel of Mark. He introduces us right away to John the Baptist, a voice of one crying in the wilderness, get the people ready for the Lord's coming. And by about verse 15, Jesus is already on the scene, beginning to announce the good news of the kingdom. But if you open the Gospel of John, you are introduced to something else about Jesus. How Jesus, not just about his birth, because the birth story of Jesus is only told in Matthew and Luke, but you open the Gospel of John, and what do you find? The origins of Jesus go back far before a stable in Bethlehem. They actually go all the way back to the beginning, even before the beginning, because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. We're introduced to Jesus as the one who is the pre-existent Son of God, through whom all things were made, and without whom nothing was made that was made. The beginnings of the Gospels introduce us to the person that becomes the major theme of the entire New Testament. Really, we could say the central person in the whole story of Scripture.